People just don't understand the symptoms of dementia and why people behave the way they do sometimes. And there is a stigma.
I can go downtown and I've got to be very careful where I step, where I walk, what I do. But for the general public to notice that and know it, they wouldn't have a clue in the world. I'd have to say, as I say, walk around with a sticker across my head, I have dementia. Please be careful of me.
A lot of people feel a little bit embarrassed about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want people to know about it. And therefore they keep very much within themselves. And again, that's not good for us as an older population. We need to be part of it. We need to be considered
normal
people. Hello everyone. Thank you for having us here today, and we're only too happy to be here and share our story with you all today. The we in dementia is a very significant subject title for all carers, family members, friends, health professionals, and the communities in which we live, because we are all in this together. My name is Derene McGregor and I am a full-time carer for my husband Laurie, and Laurie is happy and has given me his permission to talk to you about our journey with dementia today. I will start with a bit of a background of our story. Laurie was diagnosed 3.5 years ago with frontal lobe dementia syndrome. But in most cases, our story of living with dementia began some years before diagnosis. We live in the beautiful country town of Manjimup in the southwest. We're not always that close to specialised treatment. We do have to travel, and getting to the right people, especially in the dementia journey, hasn't always been easy. As Laurie's carer, I have learned, and am still learning, that the power of positivity, of connection, and simply being positive has been at the forefront of my carer's role in not only looking after Laurie, but in taking care of myself along the journey. After diagnosis, I had no idea of how I was going to cope with living with my husband with dementia. But I do know the diagnosis came as a relief in the end. At last, we now knew what we were dealing with and that life would go on whether I chose to sink or swim. Our journey to diagnosis was very difficult. We went through some very difficult and unhappy times. I knew instinctively that there was something very wrong happening with Laurie. However, and I wasn't about to give up on him. Our marriage of almost 50 years, even though there were times when it would have been easy for me to have walked away. But that would have been the easy way out. And where would that have left Laurie, my soulmate, in his hour of need? I needed to know what was going on, what was happening to him, and this was made really difficult as Laurie was in a very uncooperative state of mind at this time. Laurie was eventually seen by GPs, psychiatrists who doped him up with antidepressants and antipsychotic medications. And during this time, there was one psychiatrist we visited who did mention, vaguely, something about vascular dementia, and it wasn't followed up on. We saw neurologists and counsellors. We even had mental health nurses visiting our home regularly, just to check up on our welfare and Laurie's progress. That was a very emotional, worrying, and lonely time for us. During this time, we lost friendships. Friends who couldn't cope with Laurie's changing behaviours, and moods, and even though they knew this was totally out of character for him, they couldn't bring themselves to stick by us. I now realise that there was a lot of fear in their ignorance. Going out with Laurie in public brought its embarrassing moments. Compulsive obsessive behaviours were rampant. Spending money was out of control. Personal hygiene and self-care became non-existent. And the lack of reasoning and empathy, not to mention the change in personality and behaviours, were always with us. Those were the darkest days for us both. We were finally referred to a neurologist who has taken Laurie under his wing for the last 3.5 years, and it was he who made the diagnosis. With the help of medications to settle behaviours and the treatment of a deep-seated depression that Laurie also suffers with, our life has become somewhat livable again. Only now it comes with quirks. Every day is a roller coaster ride, and we take each day as it comes. We live in the most amazing, connected and supportive community. Laurie and I decided to always be upfront and honest with everyone we come into contact with about Laurie's illness. We have found along the way there are many people that didn't understand the implications of dementia, or they appeared to have some fear of that word and the disease. As it happened, Manjimup was invited to be part of a pilot program to bring awareness of dementia into communities. Manjimup is now known as being a dementia-friendly town. And Laurie and I were asked to participate and become the faces of the promotion and education of our local community through a video clip, and which we accepted to do willingly. I understand that there are now many other towns looking at taking up this program or already involved in it. Out of that has come some special times. We have been asked to speak at several of our local clubs, and where we have told our story to get the word out there and help remove the stigma and labels that are attached with this disease. Our local supermarkets have got on board and have trained their staff to be dementia aware, and they have begun a quiet hour once a week so that people like Laurie can do their shopping without the distraction of loud background noise and music, and with the added help of aware and understanding staff. This is something I feel we should continue to work on to keep the program alive in our community. It is easy to let things slide. Our local Shire Council is also totally committed to this program. Our local wellness centre and Manjimup Home and Community Care have taken Laurie on as a volunteer as part of their Baronia Club, which is a club for people living with dementia. This happens twice a week. Laurie first attended as a participant, but found it hard to settle into. He wanted to leave. So they asked him if he would like to become a volunteer, and now he enjoys the company of the group while helping to make cups of tea, do the washing up, etc. This is a social outlet for him that he looks forward to. It makes him feel appreciated and part of a wider social circle. At the beginning of this year, Keenan College in Manjimup took a leap of faith and introduced a dementia awareness program into their school curriculum. It came about through and was an extension of the Dementia Friendly Town pilot program. They concentrated on Year 6 students, ages 11 to 12. It was interesting to note that 93% of this class had had a connection to someone with dementia within their extended family. At the end of the term program, our local wellness centre and HAC held a sewing day, putting the students together with the members of the Boronia Club, all of whom suffer various degrees and types of dementia. Laurie's working life was spent working in the rag trade, tailoring, designing, sewing and textiles were his lifetime love. So he was made head of the sewing machines on that day. The aim was to make as many fiddle blankets as we could, putting students and Boronia Club members together to create their own works of art. It was such an inspiring and uplifting couple of days to see both young and old working together to the best of their abilities with the help of school teachers and many other volunteer helpers. The room was filled with love and respect and happiness. Everyone had a wonderful time being creative. Everyone enjoyed lunch together, and some of the young male students ended up playing pool with some of the menfolk when the sewing was done. It was wonderful to see these young students connect to the older generation living with dementia. With such acceptance and respect, our dementia folk spirits were lifted by simply having the children around them. It was a win-win situation for everybody. It was truly an emotional day and such a success. The blankets were donated to our local aged care home. Laurie is also a valued member of our local men's shed in Manjimup. Although Laurie is no longer able to work with any machinery or participate in the workshop, it is the social environment and friendships he has made that is important for him. All members of the shed are aware of Laurie's health situations and are very, very supportive of him. Because of Laurie's past business experience, the men's shed approached him 3 years ago to take on the position of treasurer with my added help. Their reasoning was not only our business background, but the president saw it as an opportunity for Laurie to remain connected to what he used to do and also keep his brain as active as possible now while enjoying the company of the other members. This does keep Laurie mentally and physically active and stimulated, and we both feel so very supported by the kindness and compassion of the men's shed and also their partners in a social environment. Also, and again through the support of our Manjimup HAC, Laurie is provided with weekly social support. This is where a staff member comes to visit Laurie in our home on a weekly basis just to chat or go out for coffee, or perhaps Laurie might need help filling the wood box, etc., etc. While this is provided to help Laurie stay socially connected, it has taken him a long time to accept the help and for HAC to find the right fit and a support person tailored for him. Laurie now has a special interest in his veggie plot again, and they spend their time together in the garden. Even though Laurie's physical abilities hold him back, he is involved and enjoying Doug's company. This friendship has broadened from not only being Laurie's support carer to Doug and his partner taking both Laurie and I out on weekend outings with them. Doug has taken time to study dementia through an online course with the University of Tasmania. He is the most patient and understanding man, and we feel very lucky to have him in our lives. Technology has helped play a big role in keeping Laurie mentally active and connects him to the outside world via the internet and computer. Before dementia came along, we enjoyed a hobby of collecting old Australian pottery of the 1930s, 1940s era. Laurie has become very knowledgeable on this subject and is much admired by his collector colleagues for his collection and the history he has accumulated over the years. Laurie is still buying and selling online And while I have to keep a very strict eye on the spending, which can still run away from time to time, it keeps Laurie interested and focused on a daily basis. Again, the friendships he has formed through this hobby, which some may call an obsession, has kept him connected socially, and it gives him something to look forward to every day. I feel without all this positivity of connection in our lives, we may well be in a very different place on Laurie's journey with dementia. As his carer, I can see the difference this has made to Laurie in lifting him out of the darkness from a life of which he would have much preferred to have stayed in, his own four walls, and stagnated, to now being accepted, understood, and able to enjoy the things that matter to him without feeling he would be better off with now being accepted and understood. He sometimes felt that he needed to wear the label, "I have dementia," across his forehead for people to understand. That no longer seems to be the need. From my own point of view as a carer, dementia has taught me a great deal about the power of positive connection too. I have tried to educate myself about this disease and have worked really hard at finding the best ways I can connect with Laurie in a positive and loving way that still gives us both our self-respect, identity and dignity. I have found for myself personally that meditation has been a wonderful thing for me, and along that journey with a bit of yoga and exercise, I have a different focus on how to live with this disease as well. I have also learnt there are a lot of things that just aren't worth going to war over. I have found if I am in a calm and positive frame of mind, this reflects back on Laurie and he is in a good space. Of course, I cannot always be that calm and positive person, and I do allow myself to have my bad days in the caring role, but overall, positivity can be a powerful tool in caring for someone with dementia. By being positive, by not being reactive, by showing love and kindness and compassion, by coming to terms and dealing with my own frustrations are all things that can make a world of difference to Laurie's anxieties and overall well-being. I too make sure I retain a life and connections of my own, and am so very grateful for the support and friendships we have around us that make it possible for me. I am a convert to yoga and meditation, as I've mentioned, and these two support me. If we can extend all this support, mixed with the carers' experiences out across the world, I think we could lose the label and stigma that is attached to dementia once and for all. Thank you for listening.